Hello, my name is Dami. Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this week on the Real Talk, we're going to be going into a conversation that could be tricky, but hey, I'm supposed to be opening the lead on tricky conversations. So really this week I want to start exploring the effect that relocating to a different country might have on the family dynamics or on the couple dynamics, which is what I'm starting with this week. Just a little bit of a background. My husband and I were born in Nigeria, and we both moved to the UK. I as a teenager and he as a younger adult, where we met. We lived around the same area in the UK, so that was fine during our dating years. And then when we got married, we moved to a place called Exeter, where we lived for about 2 years. So that's first move, about 4 hours away from family. And then we moved from Exeter to Sweden, which is not now just moving places within a country. It's now moving from one country to the other, to a country where we both don't speak the language and we don't have any family there, where we stayed for 3.5 years. And now we live in Canada, where we have very limited family. And today I'm just going to be sharing some of my experiences, as well as sharing stories or scenarios that I know are true and currently happening within our kind of communities right now, but this is not something we're discussing. So I'm hoping to generate conversations around this topic. So we all know that relocating to a different country, the UK, Sweden, Canada, Australia, wherever it may be, from Nigeria is a big blessing. Unfortunately, the state of the country where we were born has almost determined that if you can get out, you do get out, which is fantastic. And I thank the Lord that many of us have the opportunity to go to another place and thrive. But the one thing that I have heard about several times and we have experienced is actually taking stock of the effect that does have on the family dynamic, if you have an already established family, mom, dad, children, or the effect it has on the couple, even if you're just a young couple with no children. So I'm going to be sharing today about my experience as a person who moved to a different country and the experience I had as a young girl. I'll be sharing about my experience as a person in a couple, in a relationship where we moved places as well as country, and I'll just be sharing kind of where we were at during our relationship at that time, and the kind of struggles we went through, and what I'm now hearing that other people are experiencing, with the hope of kind of putting some godly perspective on some of the things that we might be experiencing, especially today I'm looking at it from the female perspective, of course, because I am female. So our story is that when we got married, we moved to Exeter, where I was doing my PhD. My husband got a job there, thankfully, just before we got married. So that worked well. When I finished my PhD, I got a job in Sweden, whilst my husband still had a job in the UK, and he made the decision to sacrifice his job in the UK for me to be able to pursue this opportunity in Sweden. Now, in terms of the first thing that I threw into our marriage is the dynamic of he was always the one who was earning whilst I was doing my PhD. Now the role is reversed. We're in Sweden and I'm the one who's working, and he's the one who is at home committed to looking after our newborn whilst I had to go back to work. Albeit that was a decision he made in order to support me and support our family, it was still a difficult one. And during that season, I had to be really careful in how I carried myself, how I responded to him, how I related to him, in order to not kind of encourage any negative feelings between us. Because of course he wants to support me, But the truth is, as a man, he still has that need. I've been going over this hero need in a man. He has the need to want to be the hero, and he wants to be the one that saves the day all the time. He wants to provide financially, he wants to protect. But that isn't a scenario of a marriage that I would say at that time has grown a bit. We had a few years of marriage at that time, so we'd had a few years to get used to each other. So if I flip that and tell a different scenario, so I'll give a scenario of a young couple that moves from a different country, say Nigeria, and moves to, say, the UK or Canada. But the couple dynamics is not one where you've already perhaps done the groundwork of establishing godly boundaries, great communication, and an understanding that if as a man, if you don't provide the cash for me, that doesn't make you less than. If you haven't had that kind of honoring relationship established where you accept that the man is the head and you are together working with him to build a family that the Lord is the overall head of, then I'll set a scenario where, say, you move to a new country and you're both excited about it because it's a great opportunity for your family. But again, the groundwork is not there already and the foundation has not been laid. So you move to a new country and the wife is perhaps the one who gets a job first. All right, let me set the scenario for you where perhaps you have a child and you do need the man to be the one who looks after the child while of course you're hustling to earn the money, because the bills do have to be paid and food does need to be bought. And of course we know that once we convert our naira to dollars, we don't have the millions which we had in Nigeria in dollars anymore. If we have a marriage where the communication is not there already, the friendship is not there, the kind of established honoring system where God is the head and then the man's the head and mommy or the wife comes alongside God and the man to build this home, I will submit to you that there's going to be a lot of conflict in a scenario that we had. And the only reason we didn't have that scenario where we had too many conflicts, we did have some, but we didn't have those kind of earth-shattering kind of conflicts that I'm hearing about that it's happening around us currently. And the way we've been talking about it, I say we, me and my husband and I, just to kind of look and see what might be going on. So where we have a scenario where dynamics have changed, perhaps in Nigeria you have a scenario where the man's probably earning equally as great as the wife, or the wife has the opportunity to stay at home. If you move to a new country like we all live in beautiful Canada, where really men and women are pretty much given kind of equality, so therefore the wife is able to earn probably the same or just higher than what the man can. If you don't have a relationship where there's friendship, there is open communication, honest communication, there's going to be a lot of conflict. So the foundation has got to be God, it's got to be friendship, and it's got to be great communication with amazing humility and forgiveness. And I bring up forgiveness because the other scenario that we know plays out in, say, relationships that move from Nigeria to countries like the UK or Canada is this. So perhaps you have a marriage that started in Nigeria, like ours started in the UK. Cultures are different, so we're going to have a shift from perhaps a Nigerian culture that gives a lot of power to the man and doesn't give enough, if any, to the woman. So I think I'm spilling water on myself. So we move from a culture where the man pretty much has all the power to a culture where women are empowered to be all that God will have them be. I'll set the same scenario again. So you have a marriage that perhaps doesn't have the strongest of friendship, doesn't have the strongest of communication, open and honest communication, and just be managing, because of course in Nigeria you have all the family networks, you have all the cultural values, you have what would people think as a reason to keep you together. You now move to a country like Canada, where really you don't have the family pressures like you would in Nigeria. You don't have the fact that your mother-in-law or your uncle can just turn up at your door to mediate. And we now have a scenario where perhaps the woman is the one who's earning the money first, or the woman got the job first, where you don't have established cultures of friendship, honest and open communication, God honoring household already built. I would imagine that there'll be a lot of conflict, and that we are in a country that gives a lot of power to women. So I'm going to be talking to the women now. Another thing that I've come across is this idea that women who are in difficult marriages in Nigeria, young women who are in difficult relationships and difficult marriages in Nigeria, pursue the idea of relocation with a mindset that is not, I would say, a forgiving mindset. It's a mindset that says, I'm going to put up with all that you've got till I can get you back. Just wait until we get there. And I submit that that sets up our home for destruction by the enemy, because the Bible says the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So to my sisters out there who have had difficult marriages, because yes, marriage is hard, please don't come to Canada or go to the UK or any other country that we know empowers women with the mindset of when we get there, I will show you. Because I promise you, although you might think you're showing him, you're also showing yourself, and you're showing your kids if we have kids involved. And I'm not saying this to diminish your pain. I'm saying this to say, let's have a different perspective. How about we try, I'll get us help. My scenario, bringing it back up, was that I was the one who was working. My husband was the one who committed to staying at home with our son, whilst I took a 6 weeks maternity leave, and then I had to go back to continue my postdoc. But with all the little issues that came up, we were able to get the help we needed to navigate those difficult seasons. We had mentors, we had people we could look up to, that we could talk to. Even when we had the biggest of arguments, we were still able to have people that we can kind of get help from. So I'm submitting to you that even with the good marriages, and I would say I have a good marriage, and at that point we had grown to a place where we were now developing, we were living a good marriage. So even with good marriages, in a scenario where dynamics changes like that, there will still be conflict, because we live in the flesh, and we cannot always, although we want to die to self every day, there will still be moments, because the flesh is weak, right? There will still be moments when sin wins. But then when sin wins, because it can happen too often in Nigeria, where because the man is way too empowered, I'm going back to scenario B, where you've had negative experiences in Nigeria, you now see this amazing opportunity coming up to relocate to a different country. Some women, I understand, are coming with the mindset of, when we get there, because I know I'm going to be empowered, I'll show you. What I'm going to suggest is this: why don't we try, perhaps I'll get us help? Because I believe that if it's a marriage that God was in, a marriage that the Bible says that let no man put asunder, if it's a marriage that you went into, not forced, you chose him, and he hasn't committed all of the sins that the marriage would say qualifies you to divorce him, rather than having the mindset of I'll show you, why don't we try, I'll get us help. That's just what I'm going to be suggesting to my sisters out there, that marriage is hard, but let's do the hard work. Let's do the hard work for the sake of our future generation. In our world now, where the statistic is saying that there are only 40% of households with fathers, our children need fathers. And I am not saying this from a place of arrogance or from a place of someone who gets it right all the time. I get it wrong plenty of time, but I get it wrong knowing that where I go wrong or where my husband goes wrong, the grace of God covers us, but we're willing to work on it and work at it without an attitude of, I'm going to quit when it gets tough, or I'm going to have unforgiveness in my heart. It's always with an approach of, really, as we will say to our 5-year-old, everyone sins. We all sin, but the grace of God wins. I hope you stay tuned, and I hope you if you like the content, or you subscribe, or just share with somebody that you think might benefit from this. It's been Real Talk with Danny. Remain blessed.